today. And I think Lydia Pincher is here with us, portfolio lead for Wikidata at Wikimedia Deutschland. And maybe if anyone in the audience has any particular topics or problems or bugs that they suffer with Wikidata Clinic, with Wikidata, then please feel free to raise your hand, post your question in the chat, or ask it directly to us.
Yeah, hi everyone. As Danny was saying, any burning questions, issues you have, questions you always wanted to ask, this is your chance. There are no stupid questions or problems. This is your chance to figure it out, hopefully, with us. Homie.
Hugo, I think you can unmute your microphone and ask away.
If you're talking, I think we can't hear you. Okay. Then you could try in the chat. In the previous session, there was a question about the query GUI, Nemoralis. Do you want to ask it now? Are you still around? Doesn't look like it. Okay.
I might ask a question, but it might be a stupid question. But there are no stupid questions, so please forgive me. But when we were looking at the best practices with Mike Peel, and it was brought up with CiteQ, I know that the technical wishes team are working on sub-referencing. And is there potential that those two things might not interact well with each other, or are they disconnected systems that shouldn't affect each other?
It's a very good question. So Lena, who is the product manager working on sub-referencing on the technical wishes team at Wikimedia Deutschland, and I had a bit of a chat about referencing in general and how it works with Wikidata. But I need to look a bit more at how exactly they're doing the sub-referencing. So for anyone who doesn't understand what sub-referencing is, I didn't either. But basically the idea is you're referencing, for example, a book and several times in the same article. Then you want to reuse that reference and just say, okay, here I'm referencing page 2, here I'm referencing page 15, and so on. And making that easier is what they've been working on. But yeah, we'll need to dig more into it.
Fair enough. Thank you. Hugo does ask how the synchronization with Wikidata works. If an information is used in an info box, how do you make sure that there are not too many requests coming and the result is changed after the information in Wikidata has changed?
So the very basics of the system is Wikidata knows which other Wikimedia projects use data from a given item. So let's say English Wikipedia or Commons, let's say Commons. The Commons page for the South Pole Telescope has an info box using data from Wikidata from the item for the South Pole Telescope. And then Wikidata knows, oh, Commons is using that data. So every time someone edits the item on Wikidata, there's a job to say, hey, comments. Hey, English Wikipedia. Hey, French Wikivoyage, or whoever is using that data has changed. And then on the Wikipedia, it checks, oh, some of my data has changed. Let me refresh the article to include that new data. So far, that is working fine, and the too many requests is handled via a job queue. So if there are just too many jobs that just are delayed, and it takes some time for the article to have the data from Wikidata, but that's not actually a significant problem at this time. Okay, and Mike is saying for site Q, you'd have to manually define the page number in the template call as extent. So that's still in reference to referencing, sub-referencing. And Sergey is asking, what is the best way now and in the near future to edit Wikidata via JavaScript? Which APIs and frameworks are recommended? So we don't have a good API for a good stable API for gadgets and so on at this point, if that's what you're asking for. What's there is not considered stable. Right now, the team is working on the start of figuring out how to enable mobile editing of statements for Wikidata. As part of this, we'll make some changes to the code base, hopefully in preparation for then also in the future bringing that to desktop so that we have one UI instead of two completely different ones. As part of this, I hope we can get to a bit more stable API, but honestly, so far, the situation is not amazing, unfortunately. Okay. Then Andrew is asking, why do some data references simply say imported from English Wikipedia? Yes. That is still, to a very large extent, a remnant from the start of Wikidata, when people were importing a lot of the existing Infobox data from different Wikipedias. This might be English Wikipedia, but it could be a lot of other Wikipedias as well. That was then added as a reference to be able to say where the data came from in order to fix it if there's a mistake in the data. So you know where the data actually came from, and you could go back to that Wikipedia and fix the Infobox, for example. This is no longer considered a good reference, and basically never has been considered a very good reference because it's not a good reference, but it's mostly there to help you find out where the data actually came from and fix it if it's problematic. If you come across one of those and you have a better reference, please do replace it because we want better references than a self-reference inside Wikimedia projects. Then Helgi is asking for a link. I will have to check, but it will take me a bit. I will get back to you on that after the session. And Finn is sharing good links around sub-referencing. Thank you. Andrew.
We don't hear you, Andrew.
No. Okay.
Actually,
Sometimes turning it off and on again.
yeah, exactly, the classic. I was kind of wondering something. We talk a lot today, and in general for this entire event, about ways to integrate Wikidata with the other Wikimedia projects. Are there concerns like within the Wikidata team or from outside the Wikidata team about as more integrations proliferate, what that does for computational bandwidth or for like load on the servers? Is there concerns that it's going to slow page load times down, especially for the larger the larger projects?
So in general, no, but there are some specifics. The issues we worry about are more around the size of Wikidata, especially the query service, and less so about the use on the different Wikimedia projects. There's one project in particular that is stretching the limits, that is Commons, with the amazing info boxes we've heard of before. And that's caused by just there being so many. And the system that tracks, we've limited it a bit to be able to not overwhelm Commons. So for example, let's say someone on Wikidata changes the label for the property of the Louvre. Now every single info box on Commons that references the Louvre needs to be changed or needs to be purged because now the Louvre is called something else. And that is potentially a lot. So we have put an upper limit in place there. But other than that, I would say we're fairly good.
Good to know. Reassuring.
All right. Mike is asking, do you know if Wikidata gets used by AI tools? Have interesting examples of its use been there, or does this rely on Wikidata info being used on Wikipedia and so on? There are definitely AI things out there. It depends on which type of AI you're talking about. There's more or less use of Wikidata. Old school AI, machine learning, and so on is definitely on the more use of Wikidata side, I would say. In generative AI, large language models, and so on, I have not yet seen a lot of very specialized stuff that's considering Wikidata specifically. There's a bit of work by Playas, a French organization, for example, to integrate Wikidata in their LLM. But yeah, coolest AI use of Wikidata, I would say digital personal assistant on your phone. Old school. Okay, Danny, I think you need to help me with the questions now.
Certainly. Okay, next we have a question from Mike Peel. Do you know if... Oh, that's the one you just answered, isn't it? But
yeah.
In that case, it's F. Nielsen, who one is about the load from the Wikidata API. Like, is it a problem with too many CiteQ calls or from commercial LLM services?
Not specifically for Wikidata. I would assume it's similar to what the other Wikimedia projects are experiencing right now, which is not great in terms of the amount of traffic these scrapers are generating, especially for Wikipedia. But I'm not aware of anything Wikidata specific there.
Okay. Andrew, would you like to try reading out your question, or I can read out for you?
Can you hear me now? Hello?
We can.
Yes.
We can.
Oh, okay. Oh, fantastic. Okay. Yeah. So it's just a use case that I was thinking of, and maybe you know of ones that already exist for this. So there's many times when it'd be really nice to classify wiki articles universally across projects and languages. And I think that the Wikidata class hierarchy would be useful for this, but I haven't seen anyone actually doing this. And instead, I've seen like machine learning tools that classify wiki articles based on the actual topics referred to in the text. But it'd be nice to have like a sort of clean and reliable classification. And so maybe somehow going up the class hierarchy to you know the near top levels of superclasses. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Um, definitely. And I think part of that was used for the system that the foundation built around the knowledge gap classification, where they tried to basically build a bit, okay, what types of knowledge do we have on the projects and which articles fall into which of those categories and so on. I'm sure you can find some links if you search for Wikimedia Research Team and topic classification or something like that. But in general, it's unfortunately not as easy as we would all like it to be. In part because the data on Wikidata is very detailed and very complex and sometimes a bit artisanal, let's say. And the world is not a perfect hierarchy, quite the opposite. So getting to something like that based on Wikidata is possible, not trivial.
Okay, thanks so much.
Mike just comments that they're surprised by how well the systems cope with the Infobox, especially because of the multilinguality.
Yeah. And it's good to stress test. So every now and then.
And we also have a comment from F. Nielsen, who comments that they're using a version of ChatGPT that is connected to Wikidata.
Ah, nice.
But I don't know how to pronounce it. Wikibet. I'm not sure what this character, how this character is sounded out.
Ben, maybe you want to talk a bit about what you're doing with it?
Yes, I can talk a bit about it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I think it's a Danish character, bot. It's just a Wikibot, and you can make a chat within ChatGPT. You can make your own specialized chat sub chat and specify a configuration file via Open API, and then you call. From that, you can specify that Wikidata can call. That ChatGPT can call Wikidata, and that's what to do. I don't know whether you need a special subscription on ChatGPT to use that bot, but if I go in, I have a subscription, a paid subscription on ChatGPT. When I go in and ask, for example, on my own name, it communicates with the Wikidata API and extracts data from there.
I know a subscription is not needed. I don't have a premium, and I could use it. I could sign in and use it. I do wonder how do you know if it's referencing information from Wikipedia or from Wikidata? Does it like cite its sources, or is this one only pulling information or data from Wikidata?
I've set it up to only take in data from Wikidata, and I think it's doing this okay. For example, it can. Let me just check on if I ask on my own name, for example, it will. Let me just check up on the ORCID. Yes, so it knows the ORCID And I hardly think that ChatGPT is remembering my ORCID identifier. So it has been using that from the Wikidata information, and it also has some rather detailed information about me. And you can also try another person. For example, I've asked who is Lydia Pincher, and there it's also not hallucinating the information.
Amazing. No, and I think that's actually a very good point. So when large language models started being a thing in the public eye more and more, there was a bit of a sense of, okay, knowledge graphs are now the past history. But I think now we're getting to the point where, hey, we can combine these systems to make them better, more user-friendly, more approachable, and more truthful when we bring them together. So I think there's a interesting space coming. Also, in the same direction, I posted a link in the chat to Spinach, which is a system that was developed at Stanford that helps you write SPARQL queries. So if you've been struggling with SPARQL, this might be a helper that you can use.
We also had a comment from Andrew who, for WQ42, which is also a Wikidata assistant, and yeah, like Copilot. So it also provides some example questions about things you could ask.
Yeah, and yeah, Mike is saying how the public perception shifted, or the narrative shifted to wiki projects being reliable. It's been interesting to see.
We have an interesting question from Andrew, who asks, when will Wikidata editing be mobile friendly? Or sorry, when will Wikidata be mobile editing friendly?
Yes. I hope you will start to see some of this stuff soon, like in the next month. Done, probably not this year. Like it's being worked on, but it's going to take time. I just posted a link in the chat where we will be posting updates, including like prototype testing and so on. So put that on your watch list to get the latest news. And yeah, it would be really great if people help with testing and giving feedback and so on, because that's really important. More questions or problems?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe we could. We heard earlier how one of the big problems facing Wikidata, particularly with Infobox, is Wikipedia community perception of Wikidata. Do you have any ideas or inroads or approaches we might be able to take to sort of reduce those barriers, those points of friction, to make it more appealable?
Yeah. I think a really big step is building up that trust. And that starts with technical development, for example, that the team is working on now with improving the watchlist integration and so on. Because that's the basis of it all, right? If I can't trust Wikidata and what's coming from there, then especially on the large Wikipedias, that's a valid argument to say, no, not in my article. So we need to improve that. The other thing is supporting people with events like this and bringing people together, supporting them, especially in the smaller and medium-sized Wikipedias, because is hard at the beginning, and it's there is a barrier to entry to figuring it out, and especially on the smaller Wikipedias, the technical expertise isn't always there. Like even for the big ones, it's sometimes a struggle. So supporting each other through sessions like we just had, I think is really, really important. And then, of course, making Wikidata itself better and more reliable, right? Like improving the data on Wikidata, helping with language coverage, helping with vandalism fighting there is definitely a big, big help. And then after that, as Sergey also mentioned in the chat, being able to stay on your own project while contributing to Wikidata. We've seen experiments with that with the Wikidata Bridge. We just heard about it from Wikiwire's listing editor, and continuing with stuff like this. I know Russian Wikipedia, for example, also has a Wikidata Bridge-like editor in a similar direction. That will definitely also help to bridge this gap in perceptions and in people's minds of, oh my God, it's this different project with different people, with different rules. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think we also have to think a bit about Wikimedia as a movement and not just about the individual projects, and how can we support each other also across these projects, right? How can we help out, especially from the larger projects to the smaller ones?
Yes, just so we have it on record for the recording, Sergey mentions that in addition to Lydia's answer, there's two things that are usually raised by the community: that info boxes should allow a local value instead of a Wikidata one, and that it would be really handy to have a tool that can edit Wikidata directly from Wikipedia. And Andrew mentions that sounds like we need a listing editor for Wikipedia, or info box editor.
Also known as Wikidata Bridge. Yeah. And Mike was talking about how also it's interesting how there's a lot of this scrutiny applied rightfully to Wikidata integration that's not necessarily applied as much to Commons. So for example, someone can go and change an image on Commons, upload a new one, without there ever being any kind of notification on the Wikipedia that's including that image in an article. Nevertheless, we have more work to do, and we will do it.
Yeah, Sergey also mentions that there's a Russian Wikipedia tool that's not working anymore, in fact, to 2022 because Visagai is also not active at the moment. It can't be updated or repaired.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Something I've seen mentioned before, especially in the English Wikipedia sort of RFC comments about the use of Wikidata, is comments about Wikidata's UI and how it's so different for many Wikipedia editors that perhaps just the initial impression is that it's so alien and intimidating that people naturally back away from it. And I wonder if there's any thought or attempts or plans about how that can be changed or adjusted or addressed.
Yeah. So as part or the long-term vision of the work we're doing with the mobile editing support for statements is that what we're doing there can also come to the desktop and improve the desktop UI. But that's more long-term, focusing on mobile first. And as part of that, I think we can make some changes to make it more user-friendly, more approachable, and so on. But at the end of the day, it is two different types of content. And there will always have to be some sort of difference, right? On the one hand, you're editing prose, you're editing a Wikipedia article, a Wikivoyage article, whatever. On the other hand, you're editing a part of a knowledge graph. There's always going to be some difference, but we can make it more friendly and approachable.
If anyone has any more questions, please feel free to write them in the chat or raise your hand and speak up. Andrew just mentions in the chat that there was some research about overlap in editors between Wikidata and other projects, and if there's any advanced findings to share.
Oh. Ifatu, are you around? Maybe you wanna take this one?
I'll just find a link because we have on our Meta project pages some links to the research that was done, including by our friend here in the chat, Andrew Russell Green, on statement signals and the use of Wikidata in the Wikimedia projects, something we heard a little bit about yesterday. So I'll just be back in a sec with the link to those research pages.
Excellent. Ifatu, if you're saying something, we cannot hear you. Okay, we try.
To my computer, the microphone didn't work, but yeah, we're sharing the audio here at the office. So this is, can you guys hear now?
Yeah, but you're way too
loud. Oh.
We can hear too well.
How is it now?
Better.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so this was the question about any advanced findings to share. Yeah. Okay, so there is nothing new from what I shared yesterday. I think the main thing that we're trying to do now is to work on this, to get more eyes, like Mike Peel was talking about, and other people have also mentioned, get more eyes on Wikidata's data to improve the data quality. So we're really just working on improving transparency on the Wikidata's data that is in Wikipedia. And this will also be applicable to the other projects as well. So that's the big thing that is happening at the moment.
Thank you.
Okay, so no new info about I guess percentages of editors, for example, on one wiki that also edit on Wikidata, or vice versa? Or is that not something you're looking at?
Actually, we're looking at that. That's like one thing that we're monitoring. So we're monitoring like what editors are editing on Wikidata and on other projects. And we're actually actively monitoring this number. So we can see like which editors are active, which ones are casual, which ones are very, very active. And the next step, so that would then be the advanced step, would be to learn more about what exactly they're doing, right? So are they like, I don't know, for example, fixing a typo in the title of an article and then it like also appears in a side link? Or are they doing some more substantial things? That's something that we want to learn because then that would direct our efforts more concretely.
Ifatu, do you want to spill the beans and give some numbers?
Am I allowed? I feel like I signed an NDA.
You can totally talk about this number. That's not NDA.
Lydia, why don't you go for it?
I need to look them up. Give me a second.
Okay, well, while Lydia is looking up the exact numbers, I can share that one thing that is super interesting is actually just how many Wikidata editors there are that also edit other projects. That is pretty incredible. It's not like, you know, other editors from other places are also coming to Wikidata. It's like really a real power in the amount of Wikidata editors that are contributing in other projects.
Yeah. To give you some real numbers, right now there are about 21,000 people or editors who are editing on any Wikimedia project, or no, on any Wikipedia, and also on Wikidata in a month. Whereas there are 24.6 thousand, so 24.6 versus 21,000 editors on Wikidata. So quite a bit.
Wow, that's amazing. Thanks.
We have a very interesting question from Erica in the chat, who talks about Wikidata scalability, that recently there's the graph split. So are there any other plans for data splits? And what are the strategies for scaling Wikidata in the future?
Yeah. Right now, there are no plans for another graph split. Other efforts include, for example, right now, fresh off the press, an RC to put in place a mass editing policy. Let me get you a link. Here, please take part in this request for comments. So that is about having a policy that says what kind of mass editing on Wikidata is allowed and under which conditions. We should probably look at the notability policy as one step after that. There is going to be work on looking at a Blazegraph replacement at some point as well, because Blazegraph is no longer maintained for way too long already, and it's reaching its limits. And Sergey is mentioning Clever. Clever is definitely a very good candidate, but we will have to do some more research, or specifically team at the foundation will have to look more into that with support from the Wikidata team.
Perhaps you already answered it, but Sergey was asking if there's any plans for switching Blazegraph to QLever.
That's what I just mentioned, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
No, sorry.
Yeah, it very much looks like Clever is the most promising candidate so far. And also, there is a list of alternative endpoints that it would be amazing here on Wikidata at Wikidata:/Sparkle Query Service /alternative endpoints, which are public endpoints that also provide access to Sparkle, access to Wikidata's data. And it would be amazing if people test those out, see what works on them, what doesn't work on them, so we can move things forward with also supporting those teams, developing those to make them better and more of a viable alternative for Wikidata.
Do you mind me asking if you have any particular Wikidata bugbears? You know, like things that you know are going to need to be addressed, but because they're going to be such a hassle, so complicated that, you know, it's very easy to kick the can down the road or sort of put them to the side and deal with other things first.
I think mobile editing for a long time has been one of those, but now we're touching it. Yeah, I would say that was a big one. And the next big one, I think, will be Blazegraph migration. Yeah. But that's not imminent, because there's a lot of work to do before that can happen.
So we have 20 minutes left planned, and yeah, if people don't have questions they want to ask, but they want to talk about anything or throw any support or mention anything particular that's been happening around Wikidata recently that they're really excited for, shout it out, put it in the chat, or maybe people have projects, Wikidata projects that they're currently working on that they would like to talk about. Oh, and Andrew asks, other than what we've heard about just now, like mobile editing, abstract Wikipedia, integration endpoints, what are some big picture plans for Wikidata? What's the vision, priority areas for promoting editing, community projects, this kind of thing?
Yeah, I think there are at least, so there's always a ton going on, but I want to mention two big areas. One is developer advocacy and reuse. So this is all about us trying to get more developers to use the data in Wikidata to build cool, quirky, educational, what have you, applications. Because it's great if we collect and maintain a ton of data, but if no one uses it, that's kind of missing the point. So one part, of course, of the use of Wikidata's data is in the Wikimedia project, which this event is all about, and which a ton of work has gone into. But there's the other side of it, using Wikidata's data outside the Wikimedia projects as well. So we're spending time on that by improving APIs to make it easier for developers to access the data, for example. We're doing social media campaigns. We're working with an agency to get press and showcase cool stuff that people are doing with Wikidata's data already, highlighting some existing amazing projects. Yeah. And the second big thing I would call out is the Wikibase ecosystem and the work on Wikibase Cloud and Wikibase Suite that go into that, which is all about, hey, not all open data needs to and should happen on Wikidata. We're doing linked open data. Let's spread out. Let's have other organizations, people, institutions, what have you, run their own knowledge graph with the software that we provide, either hosted by us or by them, and have them open up their data, build up their communities on their own Wikibase instances, and have that work together. And we've done a lot of work in this direction with both Wikibase Suite and Wikibase Cloud. And we will continue that, making that work together more as one big ecosystem and so on. Also as part of the strategy of taking load off of Wikidata and spreading it out more.
Excellent, thank you. I also wanted to shout out, it's a shame they couldn't be with us at the moment, but Mohammed, I think they're currently working on, is it the third iteration of the MOOC? With a focus on lexicographical data?
Fourth or fifth even?
Sorry, you don't?
It might already be the fourth or fifth, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have people who are interested in taking a MOOC, a massive open online course about editing Wikidata and what it's all about, can recommend. Maybe Danny, you have a link.
Yeah, I'll find one. Andrew, just as a follow-up, says regarding the wider ecosystem, is it kind of like what Fandom does for Wikipedia by creating these big instances of non-encyclopedic content, but is also very beloved and niche for particular areas?
In a sense, yes, and in a sense, no. I would say yes, in that it could be more niche content, and it of course could be non-encyclopedic content, but it might just as well be encyclopedic content, however you define this. Yeah, there are Wikibase instances out there already about all kinds of stuff. Food composition data, data about the transatlantic slave trade, data about Furies and Fury conferences and get-togethers, like really all kinds of stuff. And it's beautiful to see. And yeah, and of course, unlike Fandom, which is all run by one company, those Wikibase instances are much more spread out, right? Like it's different organizations hosting their own instance or relying on the one on Wikibase Cloud hosted by us. Yeah, and it's linked open data. So unlike text on Fandom and Wikipedia, it's built to be connected, right? So that there's much more integration, hopefully, going forward between these different Wikibase instances and the wider linked open data ecosystem.
Yeah, it's one, like when I'm searching for content for the Wikidata Weekly Summary on Google, the one I encounter all the time, and also on YouTube, is a Wikibase instance that tracks airplane crashes and air traffic incidents.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't seen that yet. Okay.
Yeah, and it's updated all the time. Like there'll be short videos on YouTube about like a little Cessna crash somewhere in the United States, and then it's also within, you know, it's also within the Google SERPs.
Andrew.
Yeah, speaking of airplanes, I always wonder if it is actually a better place to put all those airline and the destinations and everything, and export it out of Wikipedia and put it into Wikidata, because every single different language project has to manually keep these information like up to date, and Wikidata in theory could be like the single source of truth. So that also satisfied a lot of the people that deems these information as not like not critical or not worthy to be encyclopedic. Yet at the same time, if we bring it out of Wikipedia and bring it into Wikidata, that might be a possibility.
I'm pretty sure there is already quite a bit of airline data on Wikidata, but definitely. I think one of the important things is that I don't see Wikidata as a shopping window project, unlike Wikipedia and Wikivoyage, for example, right? Those are the projects that are outward facing and that we want people to directly interact with, read the text and so on, right? And Wikidata isn't quite that. It's a bit more behind the scenes. So I wouldn't see it as the place people go to find that data necessarily, but more as the place that provides the data to some sort of front end. And that can be Wikipedia, that can be Wikivoyage, that can be some sort of app. Yeah. So I wouldn't make Wikidata the only place where we expose that, maybe in Wikimedia. Yeah, that makes sense. Any other thoughts, questions, problems, things you always wanted to know? If not, I have a question for everyone. What's your coolest use of Wikidata data that you've seen so far?
I like the data boxes that were shown, demonstrated earlier. Those are really brilliant.
They're pretty good. Yep. Oh yeah, Daddy does the game for learning articles and for German nouns. That's really good.
I think anytime I've used a Sparkle query and got a visualization, it blew my mind the first time I saw it. The way you could be so specific and get, like return results.
Yeah. I think my two coolest things are, on the one hand, I'm saying Women in Red Lists. Yeah, they're also really cool as work lists and seeing what's missing in the different projects. I love this one, which is the OCCRP, which is the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting project. And they used Wikidata to find different variants of names and so on as part of their investigations, which I loved. And the other really cool thing I thought was Tom Scott trying to find the coolest or the best thing ever by letting people rank or showing people two concepts based on Wikidata and saying which one of those is better. And doing that a lot to, at the end, come up with a ranked list and one best thing. Not going to spoil what the best thing is. If you haven't seen it, watch the video that I posted in the chat. Mike, do you want to talk about what's on Portuguese Wiki?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this was the list I mentioned during my presentation. It's the list of dead and disappeared during the Brazilian military dictatorship. And it's a featured list on Portuguese Wikipedia. It's the only featured Wikidata-based list I'm aware of, although there may be others. But it's really nice work by the Brazilian community.
Nice work, yeah. An important work. Any others?
Andrew would just like to say a huge thank you and huge congratulations to everyone at Wikimedia Deutschland for the years of great work on all of these things and all these topics, and also for keeping a strong community focus is hugely appreciated by them.
Trying very hard. And always nice when it's noticed. Thank you.
This question or this comment is also kind of related to what I mentioned earlier about when I'm when I'm searching YouTube for the latest Wikidata or Wikibase related topics or stories or content that's come up in the last week. I'll often get a lot of videos that are in no way connected to Wikidata, but they have a QID within the information, within the description. And now I assume this is for SEO optimization.
Possible, yeah.
Probably with, well, we'll see how it goes, but with LLMs and AI, SEO might be falling out of favor. But is it a concern that people can make any Wikidata item or can attach any QID anywhere and try to derive a benefit from it, not the way it's intended, not for knowledge expansion or learning.
Yeah. I would say linking to Wikidata, go for it. Like if it's on Wikidata, it's there to be linked to, cool. You coming and putting work on the project that isn't serving the greater good, not good, not acceptable. Yeah, so that's where I would draw the line. Wikidata lives by people putting in their free time, their heart into providing the world with data, and if you're messing with that, no.
So we just have a little under 4 minutes to go till the end of the planned session. This, I guess, is the last moment for any final questions to come in, or any topics people would like to cover, or if you have a project that you're doing right now that you would like everyone to know about, please mention it.
Yeah, this is time to plug something you're doing that you want others to help with, or just share. If not, maybe we will wrap it up here and people can go and watch the video and figure out what the best thing is.
1,204,986 votes. What is the best Wikidata thing?
Not just the best Wikidata thing, the best thing, full stop.
Oh, the best thing, I see. And why is it ice cream?
Isn't ice cream though?
That's a complete guess. It's a complete guess. But I'd say it's fairly strong.
Watch the video and find out. No spoilers.
Right then. Oh, what I will do for those of you that are still with us, I will just give another last reminder to please look at the survey and fill it out if you have some time. And if not, we'll see you tomorrow, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, for day 3 of Wikidata and Sister Projects. We have some great sessions planned, including I think we start off with Listful Thinking, if I'm not mistaken. No, sorry, that's on Sunday. No, we'll start with using Beam Me Up tool to fuse Wikidata information into FATGRIPH with Olaf, and then we'll hear from Nicholas and Bodhi about Wikisource. First a presentation and then a workshop. So really looking forward to it. Have a pleasant evening or day or afternoon, depending where you are, and we'll see you tomorrow. And for the technical support team, you can end the recording there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
See you
you,
tomorrow.
everyone.